Everyone has a story to tell. It's my mission to tell it. Unscripted, unedited, we are on the record. Hi everyone, I'm Serena Fazan, and thank you so much for joining us for this episode of On the Record, where we hear such incredible stories from inspiring people. Today, two amazing moms that are joining us on the show. We have Kiva Williams. You may recognize her. Her and her husband were on a Love in America episode.
Episode 23.
Which is my favorite number because my daughter Sammy is born on the 23rd, and your episode is hilarious.
It was enjoyable to be here.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, and then we also have Heidi Fuller, who we're meeting for the first time today. Hi, Heidi. And you're an empowerment coach.
I am, and thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here. And thank you, Kiva, because she extended the invitation.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And you know, we love having people on the show or someone watching the show, and then they recommend people to come on the show. So it all works out.
Yes.
Kiva is a social media influencer, and as I mentioned, and Heidi, again, is an empowerment coach.
Yes.
But you guys are also amazing moms.
Thank you.
And the motherhood thing, which believe me, as we talked about, I have it, and I love being a mom, but I know it can be very difficult.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
It can be mentally exhausting.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Kiva, because of that, and motherhood, which is again so wonderful.
We love our kids.
We love our kids, but it inspired you, right, to start your blog.
Yes.
So start talking to us about that first.
So I was at a space in my life where I decided to leave corporate America. I had been a corporate girl, climbing the corporate ladder for 15 years. And I just needed a break because I was trying to be all things. I was trying to be a mom, the perfect wife, the perfect career woman. I went back to school to get my master's, and I kind of was just like came crashing down. Like I don't like any of this. Like let me just recoup, go home, figure out my life. And of course, I'm a mom, so my only choice at that point was to be a stay-at-home mom. I mean, I can't just leave my kids stranded, right? My husband was fully supportive of me, quitting my job, but he's like, okay, so your role now is a stay-at-home mom.
Wow.
And so, I mean, I really appreciate all of his support because, he gave me the space to kind of like figure out what I was going to do next. So in the space of being a stay-at-home mom, I needed something creative to like get me out of the house and kind of like get me out of like just only being a mom. So I created a blog. At first it was called Pursuing Happiness because I was trying to like find myself, And then I started incorporating things I love, which is food, motherhood, and I changed it to the Fun Foodie Mama.
Believe me, and as many people know, I put it on the record that I don't eat to live, I live to eat.
Right.
So here's Heidi. You guys are gonna love this. Okay, so Heidi comes in, again, empowerment coach, and she's like, too bad I don't have my makeup people and my hair people here. I was like, girl, listen, I have done my own hair and makeup.
You look good.
You look fantastic.
Oh, gosh, you both look amazing.
Thank you.
No, because you're, 5 million viewers, you're huge, you're an empowerment coach.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
yes, like humility aside, you talk about what you do.
Well, it's been a great run. I have been in television or radio in some form since 2004. Started off in radio in a really small station. Paula White was one of my first people that I interviewed, which was really cool. How about we didn't get the interview on tape? Because
you're kidding. Okay.
The audio guy was so excited about it.
Oh my gosh.
I get in the car. This was back when cassette tapes were still around. So this tells you how long that's been. I put the cassette tape in. I'm all excited about hearing Paula White. And I get in and it just goes, shh. And I'm fast forwarding. It goes, shh.
Oh, no.
I would have died.
I would have died.
What?
It got to be to a point where I didn't want to cry because, I just come out of this real high space. When you're in television or in radio, you do your show, you don't really see the show or hear the show till after the show. So I'm in the car and I'm like, okay. I said, well, maybe it's on the other side. And I turned over side B, and then I all of a sudden hear the prayer of salvation. And we got the very last thing, but the very last thing she said was, don't despise small beginnings. And that turned everything around for me. I was like, okay.
Oh my
God. So if I got nothing else from that, that just began everything. And going from that small station to another station, to a different station, to a television show, and it got to be so many great things. I had an opportunity to be a host on Join Our Town on TBN, the largest Christian broadcasting network. That's where the 5 million viewers came in. So it was it's been a great experience. Yeah.
5 million viewers,
right?
Yeah.
5 million.
Please teach me.
Yes, me too.
I'm still learning, girl.
Me too.
I'm here with you. So something's missing.
So Heidi B. Fuller, like, because we need to include the B, because
B,
that's part
yes.
of your,
Heidi B. Fuller.
I love
and
it.
so if we just go just Heidi, or should we say Heidi B?
It doesn't matter.
doesn't
Whatever
matter.
you like to call me at
Like,
this time.
sometimes I like first and last names too.
Heidi B.
So
Yeah.
I know this is not, likely, but for people who may not know who Paula White is and why this was so significant,
Yes.
can you share?
Yes.
Well, during that time, I was a really big fan of Paula White. Not so much now, but at that time, Paula White was doing some great things with T.D. Jakes and with the big thing that he would do at Atlanta at the big stadium.
She's a
Woman
mega-
Without Loose.
yeah.
Remember the big Woman Without Loose productions he would do? And she was one of the headliners. And prior to her coming on, we had a chance to interact. And she was like, okay, I'll come and do your show. So it was just a really big deal to have her not only sitting on my stage, but also doing some things with T.D. Jakes. I'm like, okay, so it was a really big, it was scored.
But she had a church
and she
here
had
in
an
Tampa.
amazing ministry. She
Yep.
has an
Yes.
amazing ministry.
Here in Tampa,
And,
she had one, so
Yes.
people know her from Tampa.
People know
Yeah.
her from Tampa
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
well.
so it was exciting to have her on. Yeah.
So, and I just asked the question because sometimes we'll mention a name, right? And you would think that everybody knows who that
yeah.
person is, but sometimes they don't.
Right.
And like, who's that?
Who's that? But to show the significance, and I love that story though when you shared that
The
here you are
tape.
putting the
Oh
tape
my
recorder and
God.
it's a major
It was crazy.
interview.
It was
Oh my
crazy,
God.
yeah. But it set me up to just be prepared for whatever's going to come next, and just enjoy the moment while I'm in it, and not be so anxious to hear the show after the show. So, just put me in the right headspace.
And how old were your kids at the time?
Oh wow,
Do you remember?
that was 2004. Currently, Hunter's just turned 26, and Madison will be 23 in October.
Let's
In
do some
August.
math,
What
quick
am I
math
just-
here.
in August. So they were fairly
were
young.
young, yeah.
They were really young. They were still in elementary school. Yeah.
So Kiva, when you hear her stories too,
Yeah, they were
what
your
do you think-
kids' age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Wow. Yeah.
and you have 3 beautiful children.
Yes, thank you.
So, what were you thinking? I mean, like, because there's a lot of pressure, right, on
Yes.
females, whether you're working, you're not working, or creating yourself. What are you thinking as you hear Heidi share her story?
I was thinking, like, wow, that takes a lot of, grit to get somebody that caliber on. So I know you're very passionate about what you do.
Thank you.
But also I know that it takes a lot of sacrifice. When you're a mom
It
and you have
does.
a business that you're trying to perfect, you sacrifice things. So sometimes, you feel like, man, am I away from my kids too long? Or you're trying to pursue all the things, but then you kind of have mom guilt too. So
A lot of
kinda-
mom guilt.
Yeah.
A lot of mom guilt, because there was sometimes being in production, as I mentioned to you earlier, am I going to pay for my production time, or am I going to pay this water bill or this light bill? And it got to that point at some times, but we always got through it and always laughed about it afterwards. But yeah. But now we can talk about it and laugh about it. It's like, wow, Mom, remember that time? I'm like,
But
yeah, I
can you
remember.
share a little bit more of that? So when you talk about, I either have to pay for my production bill or the water bill.
Right.
With your production bill, what exactly are you saying? Like, was it for your business and to build the business?
Well, building the business and being an independent in production and not having a big sponsor, someone to be behind you, and because it was my own show and I was executive producer, my executive costs came from my executive pocket to my executive right into
We understand.
the studio and whatever was next and involved in that. But it was a sacrifice worth having, because so many other doors opened up from there. I found myself on some great red carpets. I found myself on TV, and I found myself interviewing people like Kirk Franklin and Fred Hammond and Mary and a lot of other people in the gospel arena. So it was worth it.
And but when you both talk, and when Kiva mentioned the mommy guilt, which I will
Yeah.
also
Oh, yeah.
weigh in on for sure.
Yeah.
How did your kids? Did you have some episodes with your kids too, where they were feeling like, "Where's my mom?"
Yeah, like my daughter, she's been holding me the whole time. So my oldest is 14, and he kind of like grew up with me working, but then toward like kindergarten, first grade, I became a stay-at-home mom. So he kind of like had the both worlds. So he's kind of like used to me going out pursuing things. But my daughter, she's only known me like being a stay-at-home mom. So she wants to go with me everywhere. And sometimes, you have to show up as your business self,
With
not
the
like
baby
your
on your
mom,
hip.
right? So it's like she doesn't understand. Like, listen, mommy has to like you can't go with mommy. And sometimes I feel so bad because she just doesn't understand. She just wants to be with me all the time.
I took them everywhere with me. I took them. I mean, they would be on the side of the stage. They knew, certain things. So yeah, Believe me, she's good.
Well, there's
She's
two of them here now, so.
Yeah.
Which is great. I know. And we always welcome, like, you know, kids into the studio and everything.
And I love that.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll ask you guys some advice, though. So Sammy, my daughter is 15, of course, born on May 23rd, because that's why I like 20, episode 33. And so here's what I hear all the time. And honestly, she'll be upset when I'm saying it, but it really makes me want to cry, too. So I'd love for you guys to help me through it.
Okay.
She says to me, Mamo, you know, it's no longer mommy, it's Mamo. Yeah. You know, Mamo, your job and your career have always been more important than me.
Okay, that's a tough one.
Okay.
She kind of reminds me of my oldest because he's very much like, you know, black and white. Like, so if you're going here, that means you're not with me. So I don't know, but it's hard because he's a teenager now, and I feel like they're very sensitive. You have to like tread lightly with them because
that's why I took them everywhere.
Anything can throw it off. So I don't know. That's a hard one.
Well, I stumped you. This is, oh my gosh, Fun Foodie Mama.
But what do you say though? Because you still have to come to work every day, right?
Yes. So you know, I always share, and I hope moms, you know, can benefit from this.
Yes, absolutely.
My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I cherish my mom for being a stay-at-home mom because I have those beautiful, wonderful memories. If when I got sick, she was the one that was there putting the, you know, the cold compress on my face, feeding me orange juice. So I felt selfish, being so career-oriented. But I know that I'm a better mom because I'm working.
Yeah.
You know, that's just my personality.
Right.
So to answer your question and to maybe help some moms out there, I try to share with Sammy all the time that, of course, you are the most important person in my life.
You're doing it for her.
I'm doing it for her, and I hope I can lead, you know, by example. But then, of course, she always says, well, Nanu stayed home.
But let me ask you a question. Did you feel like you appreciated your mom while she was home, or that came later? Like when you're reflecting on, you know, now as an adult? Because I feel like, you know, in the moment, my kids, I feel like they're
just going along.
Yeah,
going with
they
the flow.
appreciate it, but you can tell, I feel like they kind of take it for granted that I'm always there. So I don't know.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I would say I appreciated it after the fact.
Yeah, I think so.
So, gosh, isn't this a great conversation?
Well, you know, and to that, by your children being the age that they are, and by my children have been that age and being older now, we talk about these times. We talk about being in the studio and being there for hours and having to do several takes. And Mom, that girl wasn't saying the right thing. And what was wrong with your makeup? And why didn't you? I mean, so now they turn into little producers on you because they're following your career, and now they have more to share with you. But believe me, they're going to be telling you some things sooner now.
No, it's so interesting. And you know, like those sayings, and I do really love. I love sayings and quotes, you know, but the one that they say, children are always watching.
Yeah.
So as moms, I mean, they
are,
right? Oh, great.
Yes. They'll do more than you say, more than you can imagine. Yeah.
So how much do we really need to be on our toes? I guess
all the time.
All the time, because even simple things like, okay, I'm an adult. I'm a little messy, but of course my parents taught me how to clean my room, how to put things back. Trying to teach my kids that, but then when they walk in my room, they're like, okay, so Mom, your laundry basket. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm an adult. I know to pick up the stuff off the floor, but it's like when you're trying to, you have to, they're watching. Yeah, they're watching you. So the words kind of don't matter what you're doing. So you got to be on it.
So do you guys feel, okay, yes, and I know, and I'm like, oh boy, yikes. Oh no. Do you feel being a mom in this right now is like social media spotlight, right? It's it's you, like Heidi B, you know, you and I, it was television, it was, you know, traditional TV, it was this and that. But now there's so much, of course, with social media, with it's changing. I mean, we're streaming. I'm so grateful, speaking of teams, so grateful for my team here at Red House Streaming and CP Communications. But would you guys say having moms that are maybe more in the spotlight than another mom, like I remember Sammy saying to me for the first time, she said, I thought all mommies were on TV. So it was just,
they're so used to it.
Yeah, it made me realize that, okay, I'm in a profession where like the two of you are. It's like, Serena, just get to the question, please. But do you think there's more pressure when so many people are watching you?
I think so, because I feel like sometimes they don't believe that this is how you are. Like they feel like, oh, you're doing this for social media. Like, no, I'm sharing on social about, you know, my platforms and my life. I'm not performing. Like, this is who I truly am. So I feel like sometimes people think you're putting on a facade because it's like social media fame, but I'm just using social media as a way to connect to people. So
share your message.
Yes, I definitely want to expand on that, but they're telling me in my ear we need to go to a break because we keep on talking. So we're going to go to a break and we're going to come right back and we're going to continue the conversation. Stay with us.
Precision Garage Door, this is Sophia. How may I help you?
It's the people who work here that make the difference.
That's what we're all here for. Teamwork, right?
Exactly, yeah.
That's why we're here for you today.
With one purpose,
If you need us, Precision is here for you.
to give their best to our customers.
We put out love and we get like 10 times back.
You get it coming back to you.
Yeah.
We work for you. So thank you, Tampa Bay, for year after year making Precision Garage Door a top workplace.
Labelswap is a retail store that you can bring in the items you don't want anymore. We will buy them for either a cash offer or store credit, and you can also shop the items as well. We carry anything from H&M, Lululemon, up to your luxury items like Gucci and Louis Vuitton. There's nothing really around like it here in the market. It is a fun, personalized experience.
Hi guys, welcome back to On the Record. In fact, yes, label swap. Would you guys like my dress?
I love
it.
that.
Oh, they picked it out.
Fun.
Girl.
Oh, it's nothing like having a wardrobe sponsor.
Oh my gosh, let me tell you, it's the
It is.
best, right?
I love it.
And they're
It really
wonderful.
is.
Lisa Pearson and her husband, Chris Pearson, were actually on Love in America as well.
yeah.
I mentioned that because Kiva and her husband were on Love in America episode 23. I would encourage people to watch it. It's so fun. So before we went to the break, we were talking about, and I think we were talking about sometimes our kids will say, you're only posting because for social media, or you're only doing this because of your job. And I think, don't you girls feel this also expands not just for women in our profession, but now because of social media, we have such a far reach.
yeah.
And so you were explaining, Kiva, how you share it with your kids.
Yeah, so I know sometimes they feel like, okay, this is only for social media, but I'm like, no, I'm sharing because other moms need advice or looking for things that we do as a family, and I'm just helping them. So this is my way of communicating to, a bigger audience.
And I love seeing your kids in your videos. They're beautiful.
I know.
I mean, it just shows a whole family
Yeah.
unit, and a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for you to continue to show that because
Thank
people
you.
need to see that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know in this day and age, we also, there's two sides, right? You have to be careful on how much of your
Yeah.
family you
Yes.
show, and that's a whole other conversation,
Yeah.
right? And how much you share. But Heidi, you brought up a really good point, though, too, about the friends.
Their friends see you. Their friends' friends see you. Their parents see you, and they're like, "Is that your mom?" It's like, "Yeah, that's my mom." My daughter, that'll be 23, so she doesn't even deal with social media. But my son, on the other hand, he's on social media all the time, and I think it's because of that. She just doesn't. She's like, "Oh, I don't want to do that." My mom does that.
My mom
It's
does
one of
that.
those
Yes.
kind of things. So.
Yes.
But my son, on the other hand, he's a mini me. He's more like me than she is. Yeah.
But also,
yeah.
I think our kids, they are proud of us because I get little hints. Like I was at a birthday party, and one of the moms was like, "Oh, your son told me you're a famous blogger." I was like, "Oh, okay." But the fact that he threw in famous, it was like so
isn't it-
cute. I was
Yes.
like, "Aw."
That is so cute. And I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about that on the show, too, to give people tips out there. Say that they want to be a famous blogger or famous on social media or have their shows. How do you start to build that? How do you do it?
I think first you have to have like, what's your message? Like, what are you trying to, say? So pick something. Like I knew motherhood. I struggled with that when I became a stay-at-home mom. Of course I love my kids, but it was like, man, do I want to be home with my kids? And there has to be other people out there feeling the same way. So that's why I kind of like started my platform to help other moms. Like, hey, even now I host monthly coffee dates for moms to come and let's just talk about, the highs and lows of motherhood. Let's just get together and kind of like lean on each other because sometimes it could be lonely because people feel like, moms you have to be perfect in this world because there's always someone ready to tell you you're doing something wrong.
Always someone
Right,
watching.
Right. They don't tell dads
Yeah,
that though.
yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Wonder why? Like,
I know,
it's
that
always
is interesting.
moms.
It's always the mom.
Yeah.
That is a good point.
So I would say just like have a message and then start sharing. There's so many free sites, like Facebook is free, Instagram is free. So just slowly start, sharing about something authentic because people can see if it's fake. And they don't want to follow somebody like, oh, she's just faking,
And Heidi, would you agree? I mean,
I totally agree.
Listen, we're talking to the woman with the 5 million views.
Right, exactly.
So give us some tips.
I was on the 5 million viewers network. I would love to have 5 million viewers. But there again, I totally agree with that. Just starting off with something that definitely interests you, because you can expand and expound and more on that if it's something that's just near and dear to you. Because I like to talk about empowerment. I like to allow people or share with people how to live a fuller, better life and how to, do their best at whatever it is that they're putting their hands to or their mind to or their hearts towards. Because it's important for us to live a fuller, better life because it's the only life that we have to live.
Absolutely.
Heidi Fuller.
And
I love it.
I know, I love it. So was there a certain post or something that either of you did that got a lot of attention and that started to push you in that direction?
Probably, but now I'm like on the spot, like, hey, which one? But there was one where I kind of like reached out to the Tampa Bay Parenting Magazine myself, and I wanted to share about, where kids can go to eat, with their families. So I feel like sometimes when you collaborate, it helps amplify your voice. And so, putting you on a larger stage, more people can see what you're doing. So their audience got to see me, and, that's how I kind of kept it going.
And I love that you brought that up because we've had them on the show too. Tampa Bay
I
Parenting.
love
They're
that.
coming on.
Dating?
Love in America.
Love in America. Okay.
Yeah, Love in America. So, but you took the initiative.
Yes.
You're saying
Yeah.
to reach out.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was scared, but if it's something you believe in, you wanna see, where it
You
can
don't
take
get
this.
what you don't ask for.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right.
So you guys you both would definitely 100% encourage that. And
Oh, absolutely.
and how do you seek it out? Like with you, Kiva, we knew, right? Because you're focused on food and being a mom.
Family, yeah.
So
Motherhood.
how did it come to you? Did you research it?
Yeah, I
or-
kind of just looked up other people who are sharing the same similar message. There's room for everybody. We all have might be a similar message, but we share it differently. So they're a big platform in the Tampa Bay area. So I'm like, hey, let's connect. So yeah.
And Heidi, what would you say about that?
Well, just in being a life coach, you can be a life coach in several different areas. You can be a life coach in finance or in relationships or whatever the case may be. I decided to be a life coach in inspiring and empowering people because that's where my strengths are. I like to inspire. I like to have fun. I like to tell people how to live a fuller, better life. So I knew that would be the lane that I needed to stay in. So the suggestion that I would give is just to find your niche. Find something that's really passionate, something that you could really feel good about and could talk about all day long with whoever talks back to you.
Yeah.
Or maybe even not, just talk to yourself. But to be able to host a conversation that's engaging enough to have somebody say, wow, I didn't think of it that way, or I can do it that way, or I can do it. Because I think it's so important for us to encourage each other because we don't get that enough from society as a whole.
Yeah.
We're always getting put down in some kind of way. So it's important for us to tell each other, hey, you're beautiful, you're smart, you can do it, and all those great things that we need to hear on a daily to make us feel better about who we are.
So how did you start to do that? Did you start sharing these messages on social media, or how did you start?
Well, coming from Christian radio, from that background, it was always in me. My great-granddad is Bishop Williams, Edward Fuller, the Fire Baptized Holiness Church of America. So I've always had that ministry in my blood, in my system, and not being behind a billboard or in the church kind of thing, but always being behind some type of opportunity to give me some ministry to be able to just to feed the people in a positive way. So it's just always been in me to just always encourage and empower and tell people, because we don't hear that enough. You can do it, girl.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can't do. Yeah.
And do you feel that, though, you can make it into a career, that it can be financially beneficial?
You can find it financially beneficial if you connect with the right people.
Yes.
You could take yourself as far as you can, but then it's always good to connect. Like I wouldn't have this opportunity today if it wasn't for Kiva. So it's about being able to get yourself out there and meet people that have like minds that want to support you, because it can be very depressing, it can be very anxious, it can be very overwhelming when you don't have a team of people or somebody that you can call and say, girl, this isn't working.
Well, while we have the empowerment coach on, let's just ask. Because when you have those moments, though, when you are like,
you want to give up.
Yeah, I want to give up, or I'm lonely, I'm depressed. How do you get through it?
I start counting my blessings. I start looking at these beautiful hands that God has given me to reach out to others. I start thinking about the heart that God has placed in me to be able to love and to help someone else. Most of the time when we find ourselves in those places, that's the best time to reach out to help somebody else. because then you realize, wow, I'm really not that bad off, or I'm really thankful for the great things that I do have. So if you position yourself to always be in a serving mode or being able to help someone else, it really helps you out a lot.
Well, and we're so thankful to have you on the show and to share that, because the other day I was thinking, again, and just to share with people, yes, like I feel that way, lonely, depressed, gosh, there's so much going on. It can be overwhelming. And look at all the blessings I have, right?
Yes.
All the blessings. I mean, a great team, a show, a network. I mean, how could you even imagine? So I thought, you know what? Instead of getting one of those day, you write like a line a day, this is a hard day, I should get a gratitude journal.
Ooh,
There you go.
I love that.
Get your
like that?
Yeah. Also remembering your why. So for me, I think
you
about,
go.
okay, so my husband's
Yes.
been so supportive of me, my kids. I want to show them that this is what I are pursuing and I want to be successful at. So just, it keeps you going, remembering your why.
Remembering your why.
Yeah,
I love
is
that.
important. And then in writing your goals down, and it's not just about writing the goal. Why are you even writing that goal? I mean, what is that goal going to lead to? Because it's one thing, people always say, oh, just write your goals down. Okay, I've written my goals down, now what? So now you take each one of those goals and you take it a step further. What is this going to lead to? Where am I going to go after I achieve this goal? What kind of time am I going to put there so I know that I've met that goal? So that's why, it's like when you move in with somebody or you have a guest in your house, you say, okay, you're here for 3 days. Now you know, okay, in 3 days they're going to be gone, so you're not thinking about, oh my goodness, when is this person going to leave?
Yeah.
So your what's next needs to be, okay, after I achieve this goal, this is what's going to be the outcome. And it just helps a lot. You think?
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Well, you guys are wonderful. Okay, so where do we find you? What are, we're going to post it, of course, on the show and everything.
Yes.
But where's the best way to find you both?
So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm everywhere. You got to
love TikTok.
keep up with the young kids. Listen, I remember during the pandemic, it was like, I'm never getting on TikTok. But then, you know what? Hey, I got on there. It was fun. I'm not dancing on there, but I'm keeping up with the little kids,
Okay, awesome. So you're as the Fun Foodie Mama.
The Fun Foodie Mama, yes, on all platforms.
All platforms.
And I'm Heidi B. Fuller on all platforms. So on TikTok, I'm TikTok 263.
Okay,
TikTok
you gotta
263.
change it to your name. I'll show
To
you.
Heidi B. Fuller.
Yeah,
Which is,
Heidi
okay,
B.
so
Fuller.
we're getting this. Yeah. Listen, so we hired Danielle Kelly, who's adorable, and she's doing social media, and I said to her, we've got to get on TikTok too.
Yeah, I really want to learn a dance.
You should do a
wanna
TikTok
learn
today.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
we
the
should
three
do.
of us.
Oh,
We should learn. Well, I'm
Yeah.
going to do one of those.
We'll do TikTok.
We'll do like a trending sound, and we'll do something.
Okay, we'll do
Yes.
TikTok
Yeah.
today.
Maybe
We're going to do a TikTok right
Yeah.
after we got
That'd be
right
fun,
after saying,
yeah.
all right, wrap up the show, wrap up the show. Hey guys, we so appreciate you watching. And remember, look, Kiva was on the show. You were recommended by somebody.
Yes.
So we always appreciate when people come on the show. So if you want to be on the show, production@redhousestreaming.com. Also, please share the show on our multiple social media platforms. We're also on Roku. And very soon,
Where else?
we're going to do a TikTok,
Yeah.
right?
Coming live. Yeah, you're right.
Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.